I I have faith in you.
I don't know. It's been one of those days. Okay.
All right, so tonight's presentation is Quality 4.0 and AI, unlocking new levels of product excellence and customer satisfaction. Our speaker tonight is John Choate. John R. Choate is a global leader in world-class OEM EMS quality, supply chain, and advanced manufacturing with over 30 years experience across multiple industries. He has lived and worked extensively in Mexico and China and throughout the US to drive transformation and continuous improvement both onshore and offshore. A passionate champion of quality, John pioneers the use of AI, big data, and cutting-edge innovative technologies to revolutionize quality management across end-to-end supply chains as SQE. He has an impressive record of harnessing innovation to deliver results. Cost of quality model netting 18 million in cost savings, increasing sales 300 million in 1 year, accelerating TTM more than 40%, optimizing forecast accuracy to more than 99%, first SAP SCC quality implementation in Pharma Corporation, and earning multi-team awards for quality and performance. John's expertise in leadership enables companies worldwide to leverage AI and digital transformation to build resilient, agile supply networks and elevate quality, responsiveness, and sustainability to new heights. He is at the forefront of shaping the future of quality through the strategic use of AI. And I think my computer is telling me that we're moving on, but we'll finish this. He is a leader on AZTC AI Subcommittee for Advanced Manufacturing and SCORE National AI Committee. All right, we are going to welcome John to the floor.
Well, thank you, Hillary. So, okay, we'll try it again.
Okay.
Yay!
It worked. I told you I had faith in you.
Okay. So, for everybody, hi, I'm John Choate. Flowery introduction, but I'm sort of a factory guy. And so what I did is I did a little twist today on the presentation and gone past really AI and really wanted to talk about quality 4.0 and what it means in now we're called the era of advanced manufacturing. And you'll hear advanced manufacturing is really 4.0. The industrial revolution is 4.0. So most functional channels, whether it's quality, supply chain, and that, are in fact, the 4.0 vertical. And as we get more into the presentation, you're going to see more about what that means, how it's affecting you, and then it becomes pretty powerful when you look at where we're at now and where we're going. And so if you think you're scared now about 4.0, wait till you start reading about 7.0, because there are companies, in fact, now 5.0, 6.0, and 7.0. So for the presentation, oh, it actually works. It advances.
Hey,
so
John, I was curious, could you put it in slideshow mode?
Yeah, I was trying to do it. I'm getting blocked at the top by the
You can go way at the bottom of your screen. There should be a little screen option.
I'm
Shift
looking.
F5.
I don't see it at the bottom of mine.
The bottom of your slide deck?
No. That's that I was trying to
If you push Shift F5, that should do it as well.
I was just going to ask if anybody remembers the short key.
Okay, Shift F5.
F5.
Oh, good luck. Of course, I have a gaming keyboard.
It's F5. Shift F5.
I know what I'm saying is I don't have the designation on my board, so I'm trying to see if I could sneak it.
I saw it for a second on the bottom of my screens here.
I think it's at the bottom right of your screen, because I see it and then it goes away.
The Zoom?
And on the bottom right of your presentation,
maybe
there's the button for you to click on to put it in.
Maybe if you move your cursor, John, to the bottom of
there it is. I see it now. I think that's what it is in the bottom right.
No. Well, let's see. Well, we don't. Well, this is frustrating.
Yeah, it's down there next to the volume slide bar, the very next icon. Yep, right there.
Hey, thank you. It's all about collaboration. You can say technology is not my high point. I laugh about it. So, so
You only
anyway,
talk about it.
yeah, I can only write. Yeah, that's why I do so good at it. So for the presentation, I've really changed it a lot, and I really wanted to focus more about what Quality 4.0 is within our career field and how it's having an impact in not only individuals, but groups, technology, and also companies. And it's not a phenomena just to us. It's worldwide that it's going on. So this is showing you the outline of the presentation. So you see we're going to sort of walk through it. Excuse me. And then something I did different here, I have an appendix here. And what I've done is I've taken some very key slides from other presentations I've done and included them into this deck because it gives you an idea about like what the Industrial Revolution is. What are the key milestones? People talk about AI or they talk about ChatGPT and they think that's AI, which is just a small part of what really Gen AI is about. So there's a lot of good information that I've tried to put in the appendix that I really didn't want to put into the body of it because there's a lot of information to go over. And so I wanted it there to have sort of as a reference deck. So with that, let's sort of get started. So if you're, like I said, if you're not aware, we're in the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So correspondingly, every functional area, whether it's quality, supply chain, engineering, has 4.0 initiatives. So the interesting thing, if you look at this slide, and I've highlighted it down here, Quality 4.0 really started around 2010, 2011. And what I've done is if you look at the right of your screen at the top, you'll see this is sort of the time periods for Industry 4.0. And if you look at the top, you'll see, excuse me, the gold arrow, which shows that, heck, we're almost on Industry 5.0. Some people argue that we're already in 5.0. Some people say, no, it's not starting. Well, the interesting thing is there is no world body like ISO that says, hey, we're officially there. Somehow all the companies in the world come together and say, we're here. But correspondingly, if you go to the bottom, you'll see there has been a correspondingly evolution of the quality in line with the industry. So you'll see quality 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. And if you go to the left of the screen and you look at it, you'll see as each increment, what were the key areas that you evolved with. I sort of came in, I guess, from if looking at this chart, quality 3.0, TQM. I did do SPC in the military heavily, but if I really looked at the private sector, I really came in at quality 3.0, heavily into 4.0, and I've actually seen some 5.0 based on some of the jobs I've done in consulting or when I was at SAP. So I thought this was a very interesting chart that I got from the Duran Institute. And it's really looking at the defining features of quality. And then if you look at the circle there, you've got the traditional quality in the middle, but now you've got the new quality 4.0. And I think the key point here is you're moving into a very, very digital environment. Your technology is increasing, your speeds are increasing, your technology is increasing. So it's all coming together, and we're coming more from a reactive mode that we have in the past to more predictive. I can remember when I first started out in the Air Force, I talked to my analytics group and I'd say, I'm tired of being beaten up at the meetings. Can I get to be more predictive? I don't want to tell them history. I want to get ahead of the curve. And it was actually quite a leap for my team to do that. But now it's becoming more and more a norm. If you see some key suppliers, like I'm a supply chain guy by nature and coming up, I saw a lot of advanced technology where they were doing fault isolation, prediction, what if scenarios on their electronic circuitry and that. Now you're expanding it into whole line environments, company environments. So one of the things I wanted to look at is when we talk about technologies in 4.0, and people sort of are now consumed with AI. It's not going away. It's going to be involving more and more. But so it's like, okay, that's number one. But if you think about AI, you had machine learning too. So you had a lot of robotics on the line. It's been out there for quite a while. So the machine learning is there. And then also what I call the generative AI is the other portion now. And there's really 7 components of each. And when you go to the appendix, you'll see that more. Next thing, Internet of Things. You're having more and more of the connectivity and the traceability of the systems. Big data. People will say, big data, what's that? We're now so much data, we have to go from a data environment to an information environment. So when I'm in companies, it's all about taking data, clean data, and I want to emphasize clean data because you've got to really go through, just not use it randomly, and then really analyze it to come up with meaningful information that you can make management decisions, whether you're at a tactical level or you're at an executive level. Cloud, it's interesting. There's all different versions of cloud, and you're going to find in most companies today, they might have their main computer, but they're going to have several versions of cloud out there to support them because of, it could be geographics around the world or just the amount of data that they want to hold. Security is a big issue with cloud. You have some people still afraid of it, and then you have other people that embrace it very heavily. In fact, in the medical, the FDA actually has a department all focused on cloud. Next is digital twins. If you've never worked with digital twins, this is sort of a fun tool. And as you can replicate whatever you're looking at. And I have a couple examples later on, case studies, you'll see it. But it allows you to model it. So my first exposure to digital twin was I actually modeled a production line. And then when I had to put up a new factory in California, I was at United Technologies at the time. I worked with our architectural and engineering group to literally create a digital model of our factory to set it up, every room, every office. So it's a really powerful tool to really advance on looking at it. So think about it in quality, that if you had something wrong, you could create a digital model and use augmented reality, virtual reality, the little fun goggles, and you put them on and actually go in and see how you might be able to tweak it without actually disrupting the whole actual physical unit itself. Blockchain, this is more in line with the supply chain area, and it's really where you're having data closer together, where you're sharing it, you become real time. So if you go into the modern world of supply chain collaboration, you're looking for real-time data, not only from your supplier, but your supplier's supplier. Another area that's now coming up is edge computing. We're really looking at real-time data at the source, And this is becoming a very interesting new area that's being approached along with 5G. So 5G is really connected to mobile, came around 2019 in that, and now we're talking about 6G and 7G. And then the last is quantum computing. This gets really wild. So you're talking subparticle here. And I've read some articles about it way over my head, not in my league, but it's definitely a new area that's coming up. And it's fascinating what it's going to be able to do. So if you look at the key technologies that are really in quality 4.0, you're really looking at 10 mainstream areas. You're not just looking at one, which is AI. Now, I've sort of gone in sequence from looking at the technologies. So the key thing with you're looking about an AI and you're looking at the different versions, what you're really doing is you're looking at the ability to manipulate a lot of data. So like when I give an example, so when I was at SAP, when we were starting to get into the HANA and the S4 movement, when we looked at the traditional data and how we got data, we were talking minutes, hours, even days. With AI looking at it, giving us insights to the data, we were actually talking milliseconds. So it's how you structure your database, how you get your information. So here's one thing on AI, people that are like Chat AI, Chat GPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, the different ones out there. If you pull the curtain back, you really have an engineer back there manipulating data. And as you ask questions, you're really feeding the training model. So a trick is, if you don't want your personal data to be used in that, say, I do not want my data included in the model, or guess what? Your data can be part of that new database. So what it's doing, they have different ways that you structure your data and how you look at your data. And what you're doing, you're going past Google and you're really like a person working with you and interacting and looking at how you get your data. Well, taking it more into the quality area, you're also looking at how the data is coming in and where you're putting the AI interface in it. It's helping you to actually interpret the data a lot faster and help make real-time decisions right there. And this is becoming very interesting, and it's very interesting. I don't know if you've had the issue, but when I've had teams and I get into root cause, I'll say, well, hopefully in my lifetime, I might get a root cause analysis, where now with the new AI tools, you can get in and actually set it up and actually do root cause analysis and really deal with the problems a lot more real time and faster than you did with conventional teams. And then the most important thing too is you're looking at predictive. You're looking at a lot of data, but now if you get into like predictive analytics and doing that kind of modeling, you can look at events that might happen in the past. What if you change the surge? What if you change this and that? How would it affect it? How would I inspect it? So that is becoming a key factor now as we're looking at AI now married with analytics. Internet of Things, fun little pictures on the right. But what you're really doing, because you have this internet of data coming in and being fed, what you're basically doing now is you're bringing all the data from all different parts of, whether it's the factory, the front office, the back office, and you're merging it. And if you see like item 4, you've got MRP, or you've got ERP, and you got MES. So ERP is traditionally your whole system. Your MES is your manufacturing execution system. So you're actually pulling data from the machines itself, putting it into the system and analyzing it, whether you're in an office, literally on site, or anywhere across the world. And then what you're also doing with item 5 is you're really getting into real-time identification. You can get an alert from somewhere around the world, set up a conference call. I've been in a couple of those fun meetings at different hours where you get that little email with giving you an alert. Hey, I got a quality issue. I need to deal with it right now. Here again, digital twins. Digital twins is becoming more and more a reality, especially in a lot of your aircraft, your defense. Construction is another one where you're seeing a lot of the digital twins starting to emerge, where they're looking at product, or I saw one of a gas turbine. The gas turbine was the size of a rail car, if you can imagine that. So I can't imagine me crawling in one. Been there, done that. But now you could create a model and say, hey, I've got a problem. Use the digital twin, go in, go through the different passages, look at it, figure out what to do, and then be able to go in and then correct the problem. So this is now becoming a real frontier, not only a lot of industries, but actually within the quality functionality itself. And here you're trying to get from the past, and this is reactive, into more predictive. And that's key as we're going forward. We don't want to deal with what happened in the past. We want to look at the data, maybe even look at current data coming in, and then being able to make predictions and possibly stop a line or stop a major fault happening. Say Boeing, you don't have your door fall off when you're in air, stuff like this. This is where digital twins is becoming a very, very important part of the quality environment. People are going to ask me, does Boeing have digital twins? I don't know, but it's definitely an area they might want to look in. Nothing biased there, just reality. Here's one thing as we're looking at the environment. We're looking at big data and we're looking at analytics. We have so much data now that's being gathered from all of these points, whether it can be from individual components on a board, it could be from the whole system itself, the subcomponents, the sub-assemblies to the end assembly. If you think about a missile, you think about an aircraft, submarine, you can think of all the data points. Well, here's now where you use big data and you use the analytics to really go in and look at key areas that you want to look at. And the key thing that I want to emphasize is it's like looking at this giant universe. And the key thing is you've got to be able to optimize, you've got to look at. And then one of the key things here, item 2, tell you out of personal experience, I was at one company and we were in aerospace, and I created a dashboard for a business group where we really looked at all the issues going on, basically at 200 part numbers that were critical to their production. And it helped us really focus the team and really prioritize the team. So that's what a real-time dashboard, pulling all that data in real time and looking at it, it can help not only at the strategic level, but it can also help at the tactical team level. And then you can use a lot of different learning models. If you haven't played gamification yet, that's a big thing in some industries where you actually you make a game out of what you're doing, and it's actually shown not only as kids but as adults. You're going to learn the processes a lot faster. So this is becoming a key area now. So one of the things to look at with the quality 4.0, and again looking at the drawing model, because it's very overpowering when you look at it. It's like I'm going to say like Maslow's hierarchy of needs in that you're going to evolve. So you're going to evolve. There's 5 basic steps in the model or levels that you're going to start off with basic tools. Then you're going to get into standardization of the process. You're going to more define, more technology in it. And then, you know, some people will say Big Brother's watching you. You're looking at machines actually making decisions and making that. Some people might be afraid of that, but if you look at some of the ways that the requirements are coming from customers, the way you're running lines. I set up a line in China. We were basically running 1,000 boards, SMT boards, 1,000 an hour, and it was horrendous for our people to come up with stuff. So we had to put in computer vision inspection and that on the line, because we couldn't have an army of inspectors. We had a certain rate that we had to do. And that's becoming more and more a trend that you see. Now, saying everybody's in level 4 and 5, I think is very optimistic. You can go into some companies and they're like, oh yeah, we're sort of getting into it. Yeah, we're talking about it. Yeah, it's too expensive. And I'm going to talk about that later. It's not cheap, but if you look on it on a cost standpoint, the value that you get is effective, but you've got to be very selective on when you target it. So one of the questions that you have to ask your organization is, where am I, or where is our organization in all of this? What do we need? Where do we go and want to go? And what our roadmap is, what it looks like. And you'd be amazed on how many companies don't do it. So if you look at the typical business model, and I throw that in, that you have basically, you have innovators, leaders, the majority, and laggards. Excuse me. And that's how the same it goes for every function. You're gonna have innovators out there. Hey, look at Amazon. You look at Microsoft. You know, they're leaders. Well, they got a lot of money. So yes, they're doing a lot of technology, and you'll see that happen. And so you're seeing there's more and more. It's not reluctance, it's just it's cost initiatives driving how fast they're adopting certain initiatives, whether it's quality 4.0, manufacturing 4.0. It's very a cost-driven model, and how much you want to be on the forefront of your particular arena. So what I did, and this is something I adopted in presentations that I went along, is this is sort of fun. I call it the golf game. And so when you think about, you've got an issue, I sort of think about a par. You're a golf game. You want to do par. You want to do at least par. You'd like to do a birdie or an eagle. You don't want to do a bogey, but at least you want to do a par. And so I sort of break it down. I got a problem, I have an action, and I have a result. Most people think they know the problem. Most people think they know the result, and they struggle with the action. If you sort of set it up this way, you're going to start to see, okay, here's a company, BMW, and here's what they did for their quality. They're looking at high defect rates, a lot of manual. So they wanted to look into an AI visual system. And by the way, these are actual pictures from BMW that I got off, all free, royalty free. So it shows their system. And I thought the interesting one at the bottom is actually, they called it the MRI of a new vehicle. That's how they're getting, where they're actually looking at a shot of the BMW and looking at all of the aspects of the BMW purely from a quality standpoint. And then look at what the results were. 30% reduction in defects, 50% reduction in inspection time. Yes, you would expect the quality to go. Yes, you're expecting you're going to refine it, because anybody that thinks you're going to put new technology on a line and let it go without refining it, you haven't been there before. It's a continuous process, and there are also changes continuing going on that you want to have the latest and greatest, just like we do at home. So this is BMW. So I told you about the digital twins. So there's an example. You have a full turbine engine, a gas turbine engine. This was Siemens. And so you create the digital twin where you can really start looking at what potential issues that it could do. I could run it just like I'm running a real model, but then I'm going to be able to predict possible failure points. And it's done very commonly in the aerospace, when I say aerospace, defense industry, but you'll see it starting more and more in construction. You're looking at structural failure. This is becoming a big thing now, but look, by doing it, what they did, they cut their downtime 25%. They saw an improvement in production. I mean, that makes sense. Well, if I have less defects, I'm going to increase my production. And again, continual updating. So a benchmark I used to do was you changed hardware. You could see a change in hardware and configuration. So my supply chain had every 6 months. You saw software every 16 days because you're updating the code, you're changing the code. Used to drive me nuts on the production line. They'd be changing code. Well, we want to update that microprocessor in the line. No, you got to wait till the next batch. We're not going to do it actually on the line. That's how real time it's become. So this is a couple case studies to show you how new Quality 4.0 technology is now impacting how we're actually doing production, getting better quality products. This is a fun one. So you've got all this new technology, and believe me, it's not a piece of cake. So you have your middleware, and why I highlighted middleware here, this is where you usually have the biggest issue coming up when you're pulling legacy systems together with your new scenarios in your new ERP environments. Actually, when I was doing implementations at SAP, the middleware was probably the biggest gating item we were, because the fun is, it seems a lot of areas weren't documented. So it was a lot of trial and error, trying to get the clean integration of data between all of the harmonization is the proper term, the harmonization of the architecture of all the data platforms was quite a significant challenge and opportunity. But I want to say it's something that's still there today, and it's probably the biggest challenge. So if you're looking at new architecture or a new standalone, which the way a lot of it is going now, sort of the ERP systems are sort of saying they might be sort of on their demise now, that we have arguments about that. But then now you're looking at different blocks of functionality. How you integrate that into the platform becomes a key question. So it sounds funny. I was doing a project and we were doing it. I got to be the fun PM. And the first question I asked was the platform ready to do it? Ready to do the integration? You know what the answer was? It'll take us 2 years to get there. Well, it was a little embarrassing in the kickoff meeting. Needless to say, there was a lot of bonding on the side going on. So it's not an easy process. So when you think about technology, you think about going forward, you think about the migration and the hybridization or the harmonization in that. This is a big thing. So if you're a quality person, you got a new tool, the first thing is, how is it going to integrate? How am I going to have my quality information, and when am I going to see it? So with everything that we're doing right now in the quality movement, whether it's quality 4.0, manufacturing, that I want to emphasize, it's not just confined to quality. It's all areas. I hear this every day. Data privacy and security is probably the biggest thing. In fact, I'm on the Arizona AI Council, and one of the things we talk about constantly is data security. Data security. What's their policy? What's the legislation going to do? And that's not only in the US, it's worldwide. Britain, the EU, just put in a new AI policy framework, and it really, in some cases, restricts some innovation. We see that also happening in the United States right now. There is no straight policy. So it's sort of a free-for-all by states right now. In the sort of the leader in technology is NIST. They are actually having forums going on right now to look at what does the standard need to be. Next, I talked about cost. So one of the things is some of this stuff is not cheap, or the way to do it is to really tie it, and I emphasize that, tie it to a business case, whether you're doing AI or any technology. And this is where I see a lot of some areas fail. They get so caught up on the technology, they don't tie it to the business case. So if you've ever written a business case, you're going to look at how it's going to help the company, it's going to help the profitability, and by the way, what are the different tools out there available in that. The more you tie it to the business case, the more you have your chances. When I was working at Collins as a consultant, we had all of these issues with technology, when we did a business case, guess what? We got the funding. Item 3 is really a hot issue right now in the state of Arizona. We're ramping up. We're actually a manufacturing hub. We're one of the approved manufacturing hubs of the United States. Well, guess what? We're running into skills problems. We're running into actually workforce gaps. So an interesting thing I shared with the team, and I went to a conference a couple of weeks ago down in Tucson, was that for about every engineer, you needed 10 technicians to help out on the floor. And now there's a lot of training going on in actually even universities where they're really looking at more technician-oriented type environments and certifications to help the workforce. And this is something that's isn't going away. But one thing I want to point out to you, as it does to me, is that you got to really look at where you are on your skills curve, whether it's soft skills or hard skills, and then what do you need to increase it to really keep in today's competitive environment. Because I can tell you there are other countries, they're really pushing the envelope when it's coming to technology and the amount is being expended. Item 4, this is one thing that's an active discussion point in a lot of groups that I'm at. And that's the over dependency on technology, or say AI. And that really gets to, you've got to have a blend. Yeah, you're looking at it, it's a business enabler, it's a tool in your toolbox, whether it's AI, IoT, and that. And you really want to look at how you have that interface, how you use it effectively in your organization. And then lastly, again, how it's integrating. Again, I can't stress that enough. I've been in a lot of implementations where like, oh, we're ready. And then when we get into the what's called UAT, user acceptance testing, guess what? It doesn't work. And I got 100 issues I got to resolve to make it work. So these are what I call challenges and limitations, but what I also call is opportunities. Big area, I'm not going to spend a lot of it. Ethical considerations. You wouldn't believe what a hot topic this is. You got good players, you got bad players. So it's how people are going to use the data. What are the standards, the governances, and that? This is a big topic. So this is something, and actually, this is a big issue that is coming up to why some of the companies are not advancing as fast as they can, is because of the lawsuits, because of people of the ethics of using customer data, how, you have contracts, intellectual property in that. It's a real world discussion that's very active in legislation. Our recent policy initiatives, when we were submitting it to the state of Arizona, to our legislators, we had all kinds of legal attorneys working with us, and Amazon and Google, about how they could use information that they got from their customers and how they could use it going forward. And ethics was a very, very big discussion point. Right now, have not seen any kind of a standard framework come out like we see in ISO. I think in the future we're going to see something, because it's becoming more and more on the forefront. This is big. So in your company, like I said, you're getting into the skills. So we're introducing, whether it's AI, and when I say AI, I mean you have machine learning and then you have generative AI. And if you're following Gartner like I do, you will see that Gartner just says, well, the AI honeymoon is over and we're now ready to move forward. So I was just reading an article yesterday and saying, well, the employees are through experimenting. We want to see what the company's going to do with it. And a lot of companies are really struggling on how they're going to use AI and be able to use it going forward, in using data from their customers or internally, and how they're going to share it. I was actually asked to go to a company for the council and talk to a company, and they knew everybody was using it, but they really had a hard time defining what their company initiative was going to be. Second item, you're going to see more and more is this T-shaped skills. You're going to see, you're going to have to expand like quality. Like I sort of said, okay, I developed sort of like a supply chain guy. Then I got into quality. Then I got into technology. So you're seeing that more and more into the workforce today, that it's expanding, that you're expected to have really more than one area of expertise. And I think you're going to see that more and more as we go into the future. Technology to me is a business enabler. You're going to see all kinds of technology evolving in the next few years. And it's going to put more and more on the workforce where you're going to have to learn. And then actually, then you're going to say, if I do have robots on the line working that look like humans, how am I going to interact with them? And that's actually a discussion point in Industry 5.0, is how do you play nice with robots? So that's a big thing, is you don't want to let it take over, and i.e. Skynet, but you really want to look at how you have that relationship, and then how you're adapting. Some people are naturally going to resist change. To me, it's basically, education, but you really want to look at how am I going to adapt to this new environment? What do I learn? I actually did a presentation to a women's business association on AI. It was interesting. They wanted to look at the business aspects. They wanted to look at the future, but then they wanted to look at the personal side. And I call that my fun presentation, because it was really, what's in my house today in AI? How is it helping? And you'd be amazed. And then how do you put this all to go together forward? And you'll have some people say, oh, John, I'll never learn AI. And I said, so what are your grandkids doing? Oh, yeah, they're really into it. Are you doing it? Well, they just say, yeah, I'm sort of learning that too. So it's a part of the newer generation. It's going to be a part of our future. Favorite topic, I won't spend a lot. The area of quality 4.0 has always been in supply chain. I actually, the last 3 years, I actually functioned as an SQE, a supplier quality engineer. So we are seeing more and more of the technology introduced into the supply chain, where you really look at the end-to-end value chain, and you'll see there. So you see the blockchain, you're going to see the visibility, you're going to see the digital twins. And then the supplier performance is becoming a really critical issue now, that The old model was I only worried about the person giving me the part. I didn't care about the others. If you look at supply chain collaboration, you're going all the way down. You could go all the way back to the mine if that's what it takes. And that's we're now building systems now to really have that interconnectivity and look at the quality, the impact on the value chain going forward. ROI, I touched on this. This is becoming a key for most of us that are functional or tactical. If you're at the tactical level, you don't really get into this. I was fortunate. I worked for a CFO. Believe me, I learned business cases, cost of money, returns, and all of this. This is how you get technology. The more that you can put your tool in line with your business case and do your ROI and get a good ROI, you're going to get your management behind it. I did one company and I did 12 projects. I got the 100% of the budget. Our ROIs were all less than a year. That's world-class standards. But we really, really honed in with the functionality we were looking for, the technology we did, and then we got the funding to go along with it. The fun part, putting on, looking out the microscope and looking and say, okay, what's going on, telescope. So what we're going to see, we're seeing role shifts going on. And we're actually seeing new roles going on where you're seeing data engineers, quality data scientists. This is people that are really skilled, and it is an art, believe me, to really know how to look at all of this data, get it cleaned up and everything where you can make really great decisions. So you're going to start seeing more and more evolution as we evolve, and it's going to accelerate. Like I said, 5, 6, and 7 are out there, and you're going to see more cross-functional skills. You're not just going to be caught into your lane anymore. You're going to be expected, hey, I'm expected to know supply chain. I'm expected to know sales and marketing. I'm expected to know finance. So that is not going away. But the key point in all of this is you're going to see more and more discussions on ethics, honesty, integrity, on how you use the data. And then trends. So this is some of the fun stuff coming up. This is a lot. It's here a lot more than you think. Quantum computing, autonomous systems, biomanufacturing, cognitive systems, 6G. It's all on the horizon. If you look at some of the examples that I have in the appendix of where it is, companies are doing it now. I did one presentation and I was showing examples of 5.0, 6.0, and 7.0. So the reality is here now. So we're talking about 4.0, but some of this stuff we say is out in the future. It's really now. And so as we're winding down, one thing that I want to look at. So what I did is for the question and answers, what I did is I went in and said, okay, if I'm sitting in my environment right now and not knowing where it is, I'm sort of in my little cubicle and I really want to know where I'm at or where we're going as a company. Here are some of the things that I might look at saying, where are we at? Or what do I want to do to go not only in our workplace or beyond? So when I went in and looked at it, I said, these are sort of the questions I might ask as really as a start, but there's a lot more to that. And with that, got a lot of references. That's me. And I got started in the Air Force, so you got to blame the Air Force. And so here in the appendix, if you see, I've got here's the different areas when they're defining the industry and the timelines and what's going to be composite to that. Here's the 7 levels of the basic smart factory, which I'm talking about today. Different terms for AI. What the value proposition is in quality, just looking at some of the basics. What are our principles? We focus on people, process, technology. And this was a new one as I did researches on the ASQ Quality 4.0 research. There's a whole group dedicated to this. So go in and check our ASQ site at the corporate level, and you'll find some fascinating reading material. And with that, hopefully I ended up almost on time. How's that?
You actually have a few extra minutes. So we go from 6:15 to 7:15 if you want to take up that whole hour, but we can certainly ask questions.
Well, I know,
So
you know, if there are
let's-
questions, probably the best is, you know, what kind of questions do you have for me?
Do you have questions about maybe how AI can help your business? Questions for John personally?
John, this is Bob Mitchell. I don't have any questions, but it's just some comments. I know a lot of manufacturing organizations especially use statistical software like Minitab or SAS
Right.
or
Yeah.
Jump or R. And I know that a number of those are actually building AI into their software such that it will suggest the type of experimental design you should use given the factors and levels. And then it will also actually analyze the data and present the analysis in plain English, which is very helpful, especially to supervisors, managers, people upwards in the organization who are trying to make a sense of the technical report. So I know that's just one example of how AI is being used in quality and statistics and how it can help the quality engineer.
Well, no, I think it's a good point, Bob, because one area, excuse me, is if you get into PLM, product lifecycle management, that's one of the things what they're doing, which is actually pretty fascinating. They're analyzing the customer behavior and what they do in products and using AI to actually model and come up with new products recommendations.
Yeah.
This is a new frontier. And for all of you that are, if you're using AI, and I do it more than I like to, Bob raised up an interesting point. I helped a engineer, and he was having a lot of problems writing his paper. Very, very technical, RF. So what I did is I took an AI program, ran it against what he was writing, and I said, write this in a very simple terms that I could write, I could present to executive management. And it kicked it out. He built a presentation. Guess what? He got $500,000 funding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are some those are some very practical examples because the people you report to may not have, and most likely do not have, the technical competency and the expertise that you possess. But that's the expectation, as you can translate that information in something useful and actionable by your leaders. So if you want to get ahead in the game, that's a key strategy to pursue. And AI is a wonderful tool to help you do that.
Yeah, and Bob, you raise a good point. And for the audience, just to let you know, because I come from this hybrid background, and I've been in executive management, and I've been, you know, from the floor too. So use your tools to go in and say, what does a dashboard look like that I might use for executives? What might it look like for stakeholders? And what might it look like for the tactical people on our team? And you will be amazed that there is a difference. There's a thread, there's a common thread, but how you take data and present it. I'll give you an example. This is a true story. I was doing one and I built a dashboard for the execs. And then the GM said, John, I'm mad at you. And I said, what did I do this time? And she said, I had a team working for months and you came up with a couple weeks. And I said, well, in fairness to the team, they've never been on an executive team. So you're looking at stuff differently than they are. But once we created that dashboard for them, which was different from the dashboard we used for the tactical team, the decision process accelerated by 2x.
Yeah, and that's why I like, no, there are a lot of generative AI tools out there, but that's
Right.
an example of where in such cases where I like Claude 3 versus Chat GPT.
Right.
With Chat GPT, it can do the same thing, but you've got to copy paste all the information into a session with Chat GPT to generate a report. Whereas in Claude 3, you can just upload the data, the report, and it will generate the summary. So you don't have to do all that key punching and copy pasting. It can read the reports and actually synthesize an analysis for you.
Yeah, I've read that there's some upgrades coming along both in Chat and Claude where they're actually you can load Excel spreadsheets and they'll read the spreadsheets and interpret the data on the spreadsheets. So the world's evolving.
Yeah, Michael Simmons has a question. Are you aware of any AI tools today that can help with OEE, overall equipment effectiveness?
You know, what I do, Michael, the best thing that I do is there's so many areas out there, and I actually have mentors all over the world. If I get in a specific area, I'll take it as an action and I'll go in and actually ask them and go in and look at the industry and find out what is going on. And why I say that, I just did a presentation for the Hispanic community. I was shocked at the number of Hispanic only AI tools out there. So the key is I'll take that as an action and I'll pass it back. But it's a good question. The thing that I do is if I don't know a specific area, I will go in and, like Bob said, I'll play them off, but I have some other AI tools. I'll go in and ask the questions. Here's one thing I want to warn everybody. When you use the new Gen AI tools, don't take it as face value and watch how you ask the questions, because you can be led down the wrong path, because it's taking data. It might even extrapolate it. So you've got to be very careful on how you ask the question. And then when you ask for references, check those references, because sometimes I found they're wrong. But I would say for your OEE, I would use a tool, whether it's Chat or Gemini or Claude, and go in and say, what are the ones out there? I just did one for my wife who's in a jewelry business, and I didn't even know it existed, where you can actually talk in text, talk to it, creates text, and it'll actually design jewelry for you. Huh. So there's all kinds of stuff out there now. It's just all over the world.
The technology is just accelerating at such a tremendous pace. I retired from 3M in 2015, and back then we were already using ERP and MES to the point where my role as the corporate quality director was to go around to all of our new manufacturing hubs, and these were, believe me, state of the art. And I would go to some of our new facilities in Singapore and Poland. They had the capability back then where the machines were actually collecting data, comparing it to statistical process control charts, and communicating directly with the engineer via text of what's happening. And the engineer from his or her mobile phone could adjust the process. And that was back in 2015. I can only imagine what capabilities a company like 3M or Boeing or Raytheon, the capabilities they have today just must be mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I had a friend, European friend, and he had like a watch, and he said, "Hey, watch this, John." And he hit the dial, and the next thing, a keyboard shot into the air, and he was actually typing on the keyboard in the air, and it was communicating with his computer. I said, "Oh, geez, this is crazy."
That's Star Trek.
I know. I said, "Wow." But I saw it. I wouldn't have believed it. He's a fun guy. And he said, "Oh, come on, show me." And he said, "Here." I said, "Oh, okay, I believe you."
Yeah. I know from the customer experience side, we're to the point where, customers would be talking about your product, good or bad. And it could be a Facebook, it could be your company website, it could be your company's LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram. We had programs that would scan all of that, collect all the consumer experience data, and report it directly to, in this case, myself as the product engineer, and I could respond in real time. And
Yeah.
if you didn't respond in real time, you actually got demerits as an engineer.
Oh, no, it's becoming more and more real time. You know, time is money. And that's why when you look at the tools, if you can justify a business case, when I was doing a couple projects and I had the reputation of I got all of the technology projects approved, I just knew how to write business cases. It wasn't that they didn't know, they just didn't know how to write a good business case. And after we started generating the business cases, we were getting everything that we needed for technology upgrades and that. And this was in a modern aerospace and defense factory here in Phoenix. And they were like, well, I need it. And they say, yeah, but just tie it to a business case and you got it.
Yeah, exactly. Got to speak the language of management.
That's right.
Any other questions out there? I know it's a fascinating, ever-changing, very dynamic landscape, but John, you mentioned Industry 7.0. It's like, well, wow, that's just we're getting into the Jetsons age there.
Yeah. So if people are interested, I actually I created a presentation for the Arizona AI committee. I'm the subcommittee leader in advanced manufacturing. So if you're interested, let Bob, Hillary, or me know, and I'll send you a copy of that presentation. And it's very detailed, going from 1.0 to 7.0 with examples and that. And it's pretty eye-opening. When I presented it to even some of our top leaders here in the state that are even CTOs, their eyes sort of opened when they saw what was happening, not only on a local, but a global standpoint.
You bring up a good point. A lot of this stuff is probably considered confidential or proprietary, but if you have access to any case studies, I think that would be a terrific opportunity to start posting some of these case studies of quality and AI on our My ASQ page.
No, that's a good point, Bob. One of the things that I've done just for the audience that I've found not only in presenting for the quality group, but other groups, the more that we've used case studies, the more it's resonating with people. In fact, the SCORE National Committee, our first 4 months was nothing but setting up a case study library. So I can take that as sort of an action to see if I can research some case studies that we can include in future newsletters and whatever, not only Arizona, but within the industry itself.
Well, if you have some examples, shoot them to Chuck Cox, who's our acquisitions editor.
Okay.
And he'll work with the organization, find out, okay, what's shareable, what information is maybe should be redacted, but let's get some case studies and get them on our website to showcase the impact of AI and how you can use AI in the quality arena, which is what we're all about, sharing best practices among the quality community.
Okay, no, I'll take that as an action item.
All right, do we have any additional questions for John this evening before we move on with the rest of our meeting? All right, well, thank you, John, for your presentation. We really appreciate it. And you all will have an opportunity during our networking session to ask a few more questions of John if you choose to participate in the Meet the Speaker networking session. Let me go ahead and share my presentation again. Right, and let me check the chat really quick. Okay, looks like we don't have any more questions. Oh no. All right, so for our networking sessions this evening, as I mentioned, we will have a Meet the Speaker session where you can ask a few more questions of John, maybe get a little more personal, how he got his start, what he was doing in the military, those types of things, or more questions related to the presentation itself. It's up to you. We're also going to have another breakout session on increasing employee retention and maybe some of those things that your companies are doing to increase employee retention. That was actually one of the topics that was brought up during our last meeting by someone who filled out the survey. They were interested in potentially hearing a presentation on that. And that's not to say we won't have a presentation on that in the future, but it might be kind of nice just to hear from a few folks who are whose companies are successful at retaining employees. So I will go ahead and create the 2 different breakout rooms. Just give me 1 minute here while I do that. And then we'll take about 10 minutes or 10 minutes to go ahead and discuss those topics, and then we'll reconvene.
If you'd like me to moderate that breakout on retention, I can do that.
Okay, perfect, Bob. Thank you.
Got some great ideas and things that we're doing in my organization.
Oh, okay, perfect. So the way this is going to work is the breakout room that I'm creating is going to be for increasing retention. If you would like to stay in the Meet the Speaker room, don't do anything. Don't click on any buttons that pop up on your screen, and you'll automatically stay within the Meet the Speaker room. Okay, here we go.
So come on over, everybody. John's tired of talking. Come on over to my room.
Yeah, go over to Bob's.
I don't want John to feel alone, but
That's all right. Hey, I never feel alone. I've got my cat and dog.
You guys are funny. Oh my goodness.
No, I don't see where to sign, where to get to the breakout room.
You should have
Should be a-
received. Go ahead, Bob.
I have a pop-up that just came up on my screen, and if you scroll down, there's a employee retention option, and then there's a little blue button on join. Looks like Jennifer found it. See ya. I'll be moving over.
All right. Are you still having trouble finding the pop-up?
Yeah, I don't see it. All I see is the slide of the list of who's still on the call.
Oh. Is there anyone else that's having trouble finding the pop-up? Wonder, are you on a tablet or a laptop or?
I'm on a PC at the house, a regular PC.
Okay, I'm not sure then.
Well, it's probably here in plain sight. I'll just poke around and see if I can find it.
If perhaps you might be able to see down at the very bottom, do you see the list of things like participants, chats, share screen?
Yeah.
If you keep going to the right, you should see breakout room. And if you click that button and then you'll see the link.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay, there's a more thing. Okay, there it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for helping out.
Right.
Okay, now we're getting a few more people over in the other room. I think we've figured it out. All right, so.
I actually, while we were talking, I went in and I've got the 5 top AI tools for OEE. I'll put that in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting. So I went out and looked at that. So
awesome. Does anyone have any questions for John this evening? Any questions?
Give it your best shot.
I'll start. And you probably touched a tiny bit on this in your presentation, but how did you become so involved in AI? What was your start?
Well, I got started. I really didn't know it was AI. If you talk to a lot of the people that, we were doing, in the military, I was doing a lot of highly classified stuff in technology and that. And, we didn't know what it was. We didn't even know we were doing like the advanced internet and stuff. You know, they just say, do you want to test this? And a lot of it was highly classified, the projects that I was working on. So I got involved on that. And then my last 4 years, not by choice, they said, we want you to become one of the top technology groups in our area, which was logistics. And I said, do I have a choice? And it was, where would you like to be deployed? And I said, I'd love to take these classes. And so I actually in 1 year did 32 courses in data automation and 9 programming languages. And that sort of started me in looking at technology. And then as I got out, even I had the advantage of working in really advanced companies. I can remember, I don't remember ever anybody calling it AI. You know, in fact, one of our people on our board, he was talking to me one day, and he said, I have a PhD in AI from 20 years ago, and I didn't even know what it was. So it's been out there. If you read all the stuff, Gen AI is probably the oldest, and they say it goes back to the 1940s. But if you research everything, you don't get any sense that it was like brand AI. It wasn't until I think it was the late 50s or early 60s, somebody just said AI. And then the term was adopted. So it's been out there a long time. And like I said, I can never find a body that says like, this is the gen or this is the thing. So it's just, it's been there. I think as we go on, I think you're going to see some kind of a standards body because you're seeing that evolve now. There's a group called OECD, which is 68 nations, and it started in basically Europe, and the US is part of it. And they're trying to moderate all of this stuff. And it's growing so phenomenally. People just don't know. And like I said, if you look at it, when you say AI or Gen AI, there's actually 6 or 7 sub areas of machine learning AI and Gen AI. So you're talking, one of my friends that's at Raytheon in Tucson, he says they have 16 versions of AI.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So, I think a lot of people are just falling into it. They're saying, oh, okay, I'm in AI, and then you say, well, are you in Gen AI? Are you in machine AI? Are you in Gen AI? And then Gen AI is evolving, and you're going to see it evolve more and more.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for that explanation. Does anyone else have a question? I don't want to take up all the questions this evening.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Beatrice. Yeah, John, you mentioned about quality 5.0, and I've been, reading a lot of articles on quality 5.0, but you also mentioned quality 6 and quality 7.
Right.
Is there such a thing, or is that just people are just throwing out names?
Oh, no. There's actually, no, it's a good question. This sort of got me when I was researching, and I was sort of naive myself because I was looking at the industrial revolution, and then there are actually companies claiming they are in 5.0, 6.0, 7.0 is more in the quantum computing. So, I mean, we're really getting out there, but there are people and companies are actually saying that they're doing that, or actually even including case studies, even in their annual reports. So it's reality.
Okay. Well, what I've read about quality, the next quality 5.0 is about more about sustainability, diversity, human centric, bringing that aspects of quality instead of instead of technology. So
right.
But the articles also mention about be careful about people are just throwing hey, this is quality 6.0, this is quality 7.0. but I haven't read anything that says, hey, this is how we define quality 6.0 or 7.0. They're just now beginning to define what is quality 5.0 and how it will be integrated, or the quality 4.0, or how it will be the next
No,
iteration of quality.
it's a good point, because you, like you said, is like, we're saying that, you know, quality 5.0 is supposed to technically start in 2025. But you see some people haven't even got, say, stage 3 of quality 4.0, which is sort of the cycle. And then if you really don't have a governing body that's saying we're in 4.0 and 5.0 and defining it, it's sort of anybody writing there and saying, oh, I'm in 5.0 or whatever. Because there's a lot of there were a lot of articles. Some of them were more theoretical than practical. You know, from what I see on 5.0, most of it, from what I've seen so far, just on a general standpoint, is the say the interaction of, say, AI robotics with humans, and how that's all going to interface more, because we're migrating more. And that makes sense, but you can't see, there's no really clarity on how that's going to work. They're just saying that's going to be part of this new, you know, 5.0.
Because everything is still evolving.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Well,
Oh, good question.
All right, we've got a couple more minutes. Do we have any more questions for John this evening? Got a quiet audience tonight, John.
Oh, no, I'm not. Well, I did one on AI for business unit nationally, and we went to the opposite extreme. We had 168 questions in 10 minutes for 4 of us.
Oh, no.
We were like,
oh, no.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, that would be a little overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
Holy
Well,
cow.
a lot of it, I think it really, it speaks to the topic, is that people are learning about it, and people are trying to put it in their perspective, and, you know, how does it fit in their personal life? Does it, you know, work in there?
Yeah.
Because you don't hear people, you know, and I hear, I mean, I'm interfacing with a lot of different people, and you don't hear people saying 4.0 or 5.0. You know, they'll just say, oh, we've got a we got a new computer vision system.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so it would be an interesting topic just to go in a company and say, okay, then that's why I had the questions. Where are we in quality 4.0? And it would be interesting, the response. And then, like Bob said, you go up to some of the execs, they're not even from the career field, and they don't even know what you're talking about. And then you have to say, okay, this is what this means and what it's going to do.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, everybody. Do we have any more questions? All right. Well, we're at our 10-minute mark. We're just over 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the rooms, and then we'll have a short report out, and then we'll move forward with the rest of our business meeting this evening. So we'll give the other folks just a minute to come back in.
That would be an interesting topic. Employee retention under the current mixed model is a very hot topic in companies today. You know, especially post-COVID, and I got a caveat, post-COVID, is it on-site, or is it hybrid, or is it all remote? And it's becoming a big issue on now. A lot of companies, not only Arizona, are starting to say you need to come back into the office, and they're losing a lot of good people.
Yeah, I've actually heard that myself, where people prefer the remote work, and they're not allowing people, or they're not allowing their employees to do that.
Well, I've sort of, you know, in the last few years, I've been in sort of a combination in companies, you know, you're remote, and then you'd go on site for your client, and then you just got used to that model, and we were just as productive as anything else. But, you know, when we went on site, we were very focused. And I think people are looking at that now and saying, well, wait a minute, I don't have to commute for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So our breakout is back.
Okay.
10 minutes seemed to go awfully fast.
We actually had a couple more minutes beyond that. So the timer was set for 15, and yeah, I meant to do 10, but we got a couple more minutes out of it. But do you want to give a short report out, Bob?
Well, again, it was pretty short, you know, by the time we got done introducing the subject matter. And one of the things I commented on is, and I recommend it for everybody in the room, and I'll recommend everybody still online, you should read this book called The Power of Moments. It's by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. They've written other books called Made to Stick and Switch and Decisive, but this book, The Power of Moments, is talking about how to create special recognition down to the individual level, and creating moments that are memorable to that individual or group of people, such that it helps to encourage and motivate even greater and higher performance. It's a great book. I've recommended it to my entire leadership team within Choate, because we were developing our strategic plan, and that's one of the things that we recognize is the need to increase our organizational capacity. And in order to do that, we had to build the organization. So how do we do that? And so how do we encourage retention? So what I had asked right as we were closing and we're all being moved back to this main room was if anybody has some examples of what their company is doing to help increase employee retention. Maybe put it in an email to Hillary or I, and we can kind of gather all the results and put together a little report and just put it up on our ASQ, so other of our members can read and benefit from it.
Yeah, and as I mentioned too, we'd like to have a speaker come in and give a presentation on employee retention. And so we'll be looking at that in the future as well. But in the meantime, definitely, we'd love to hear your suggestions, and perhaps we can put them together in a document and send them out to the membership or present them at a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, we had at the Fall Baldrige conference last year, we had a keynote speaker. And that's what that individual focused on, was increasing retention. And he was not one of the authors of the book, but he referenced that book many, many times. And he had some fascinating videos, real videos of actual case studies of examples of giving recognition and celebrating milestones to help increase employee retention. And then other examples that were discussed in our breakout were like just some organizations are doing a much better job now of demonstrating the comparisons of their benefits to competitive employer benefits, and offering other additional opportunities like 3M's 15% time, or just companies sponsoring, supporting special interest groups, things like that, to help encourage employee retention. It's all about creating a sense of belonging and having some close friends at work. It all goes into building employee retention. And that's part of the Gallup survey that they've done on improving retention. You can look up on internet and you can do a Google search of the Gallup survey, on employee retention, and they had some very good examples in there as well.
Great. Yeah, I know my employer has been going through a class and comp study recently to kind of do what you just mentioned, compare what our benefits are here versus what they are at other companies around us. So that's been ongoing, and I think it's going to end up being a good thing for us. But yeah, I also agree with your engagement comment as well, and that keeping employees engaged and making sure that they have close friends in the office is also very beneficial. Okay, so we will give you just a very brief overview of what we talked about with John. We had a couple of good questions. The first question being how John got involved in AI, and he had mentioned that it was kind of by accident. He had been assigned to highly classified projects in the military, and he just happened to be using AI. It wasn't coined the term AI yet at that point, but he learned from those projects that it actually was AI. And then he ended up taking several courses with the military as well, 32 courses in, what was it, data? I can't read what I wrote.
Yeah, all kinds of anything you could think about data, data automation. And that was
okay,
doing that. And then we did 9 languages. I had to learn 9 different languages, programming languages, and several of them were classified. That
wow.
It was like, what is this? Just don't ask. Don't push the button.
Yeah. And then someone else had asked about the different stages of AI and quality 4.0, and they were asking about quality 6.0 and 5.0 and 7.0. And John was saying that quality 5.0 and 6.0 are in use now, but they'll be more so in use by 2025. So next year we can look forward to making that advancement to quality 5.0.
Yeah, and I put in chat, I did some quick research, and then it's everything I'm getting from all my things. It's saying it's concept. ASQ is talking about it. People are writing about it, but it's still concept. And sort of the 10 principles that I talked about seems to be the same pillars that they're in 4.0 is into 5.0. So they're just crossing over because we're not through 4.0 yet, and already. So if you look at 5.0, 6.0, the best thing is look 2025, 2035, 2045. That's how they seem to be breaking right now.
Okay, so every 10 years or so.
Yeah. And
okay.
Then I put in the chat, what are the AIs for OEE? There's 5 that seem to pop up as the top 5 AI programs that you could use for OEE.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for putting those there. All right. So those were pretty much the 2 areas that we kind of talked about in our breakout session. So thanks for the additional clarification, John. Let me go ahead and move into the rest of our slides for the evening. We have just a few more. And they involve announcements from ASQ as a society and then ASQ Phoenix section. So a few upcoming ASQ events that you'll want to keep in mind. Actually, the Quality Impact Forum on Sustainability just happened on July 31st. So hopefully there were a few of you in the audience this evening that were able to attend that virtual event. We have the Quality Innovation Summit coming up October 8th through 10th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin this year. I did attend that conference last year in Boston, and it was very good. I won't be attending this year, but if you have not attended that conference before, I encourage you to attend at least one. And then we have the Women in Quality Symposium that's coming up on December 5th. This too is a virtual conference. And then the 2025 Lean and Six Sigma Conference will be February 23rd through 25th, again at the Renaissance Hotel in Glendale, in Phoenix. And then the World Conference on Quality and Improvement will be held in Denver, Colorado next year, May 4th through 7th. So lots of great educational opportunities coming our way from ASQ Corporate. And these are your 2024 ASQ Phoenix section officers. I am Hillary Warner, the section chair for the Phoenix section. We have David Gibson, who is your secretary, and then Amrish Patel, who is your treasurer. We currently have a call for volunteers, and these volunteers are appointed. We'll also be holding elections in the fall as well. We'll be doing a call for nominations for those elected positions too. Regarding the appointed volunteers, we have an on-site arrangements coordinator who's responsible for organizing or coordinating the day of the event. So for instance, this person would be responsible for checking people in at the event. They'd be responsible for setting up refreshments. They would need to be able to make sure the technology is working if there's technology at the event. We also have an offsite arrangements coordinator who's responsible for contracts. So this person actually does research prior to the event on the different venues that are available, and then engages in making contracts with those venues for the event. They're also responsible for making sure that there will be food provided at the event. And since our meetings are currently virtual, these are a little less they aren't as high on the priority scale as some of the other positions are. We're also looking for a chair-elect, and that chair-elect would actually be chair-elect now and would be moving into the chair position next year, since my 2-year term is up at the end of this year. And so the chair-elect, essentially their responsibility would be to learn all of the responsibilities of the chair position, and then they'd fill in for the chair as necessary during different meetings. And then we also have a programs chair who is responsible for seeking out different presenters for our monthly program meetings. Then a VOC chair, a voice of the customer chair, who is responsible for sending out those surveys to get your feedback after all of the monthly program meetings. And this chair also sends out recertification unit certificates once you've either attended those program meetings in person or once you've watched the recordings of them online. And then we have a LinkedIn manager as well, and a social media manager who are responsible just for keeping folks in the loop on all of our social media platforms with updates regarding membership meetings, updates regarding any conferences that we might have, or things that we've done as a section leadership team or will be doing in the future. We'll go through this slide kind of quickly. This is just a representation of all of your section officers for 2024. So we are looking for presenters for our monthly meetings, and I do appreciate those of you that had added your names to the surveys that have been sent out following the program meetings. I will be reaching out to you directly to see if we can set something up for you to present. Presentations can be on soft skills or technical skills related to quality in any industry. Presentations should be about an hour in length. They can sometimes go a little over, a little under. It doesn't matter too much. And then if you are interested, you can either fill out that survey that Bob will be sending out following the meeting, or you can contact me directly at hwarner@memberleader.asq.org, since I'm currently filling in for the programs chair position. Oh, I forgot to take that slide out, so we'll go right through that, and then didn't take that one out either. So Sway is having a Taco Tuesday webinar mini series. This is a free 3-part webinar series on accelerating improvement. They've already had, well, actually they've already had one. They have 2 more coming up. So on August 13th, it'll be translating voice of the customer and product and process requirements. And then on September 17th, they'll have best practices for building a culture for continuous improvement and innovation. And these webinar mini series occur from 10 to 11 Phoenix time via Zoom on those above days. So you can go to our website or Sway's website. Both are listed below to obtain more information on either one of the upcoming webinars.
And if I can insert your attendance, you do get an RU certificate. So it does qualify for ASQ RUs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Bob. And then we're working on some upcoming networking events in 2024. We're kind of wrapping up, kind of pinpointing where we want to go for our wine tasting. So we should have that in the next month or so. Be on the lookout for that via constant contact invitation and on our MyASQ Phoenix webpage. The registration links, once they are up and running, will be on www.asqphoenix.org under the events tab. And then I'm still trying to get this up and running. I had mentioned last month that I might start with our membership team first. I've had a lot going on, so this hasn't been at the top of my list, but we would love to be able to highlight you and your accomplishments in our newsletter in an effort to increase engagement and networking. Since we are kind of returning from COVID still, we haven't returned to our in-person meetings yet, so our networking isn't quite what it was when we were meeting in person. I think this would be a great way for us to engage with other people in our section and kind of learn more about what others do and what they enjoy. I'd like to highlight one ASQ Phoenix section member each month in the newsletter. If this is something that interests you, you can contact me again. My email address is listed below. All right, so we draw someone's name who's attended the monthly program meeting each month for a section branded travel tumbler. And to the right of this slide, you see all the people that have won a section branded travel tumbler in the last year. There are a couple of rules for this. You must attend the program in person or remote, or serve as a Phoenix section committee volunteer. So if you serve as a volunteer, again, that's another great perk. You get a free tumbler. The travel mug, if you are selected, will be mailed to your preferred address. And so usually the way this works is if I select you through a wheel of names, like random drawing, I'll go ahead and contact you using the email address that we have on file to confirm a mailing address of your choice. And then we offer one mug per program meeting, and then you are allowed one mug per Phoenix section member per year. So once you've won for the year, that's it for the year. And I just want to say congratulations to Rob K, who was our winner for this past month of July. So this is our program meeting survey summary results from last month. We had 48 attendees attend the July program and a 42% response rate, which is pretty unheard of. We usually have about 20% response rate. So thank you so much to those of you who took the survey seriously and filled it out for us, because we really do use the information that you provide to kind of to move the section in the direction that you want to see it move in. So for instance, you made suggestions on potential topics that you'd like speakers to present on in the future, and we're working on scheduling speakers that do speak on those topics in the months ahead. Overall, the feedback that we got from you was pretty great. So thank you very much. That just confirms that we are moving in the right direction and we're doing what we're supposed to do and providing member value to you. So our overall meeting performance was 93%, and then our 12-month running average was 83%. And for those of you who haven't been on the new MyASQ or who haven't really had the chance to tinker around much in MyASQ, have just a few tidbits and tricks for you. We have an events tab on the Phoenix section's website that includes upcoming section events such as conferences and monthly program meetings. Under the discussion tab, you'll find our job board that is updated weekly by Nicole Donraj. So if you or someone you know is looking to either promote or move positions, this would be a great place to find new things. Then we have a library tab where you can find previous program recordings, which you can watch for RUs. And this is actually incorrect, my apologies. So you'll want to email Bob Mitchell for your RU certificate. And then under the library tab, you'll also find newsletters, handouts, presentations, and mini papers. So if you're looking for information on our section or information in a journal article, this is where you will find that as well. Now, this is just a quick plug for professional versus senior membership. As an ASQ, with an ASQ professional membership, you get access to professional networking within a global organization. You get discounts on trainings, programs, events, conferences, and certifications, among other things. And I did the math on this. Your annual membership pays for itself through one certification or attendance at one conference each year. So the discounts that you get are your membership fee is returned to you through the discounts that you get for certifications and attendance at conferences. You also get access to online and published content and updates on professional news and issues for current best practices and innovative emerging trends. And then you also get to attend the Phoenix Section networking events. And while you don't have to be a Phoenix Section member for this, it does help, and you get access to the program meetings of other sections as well. So for the same price as professional membership, you can level up to senior membership if you meet certain criteria. So you need to be an ASQ member in good standing for 1 year and have 10 years of professional experience, plus one of the following: have conducted quality related work for at least 2 years, have taught quality related classes at a college for 2 years, have been a senior member of another comparable organization, or you currently hold an ASQ certification that requires recertification. As a senior member, at no extra cost, you receive one additional journal or magazine of your choice, or membership, a second membership in another ASQ geographical section. All right, so quick wrap up here. Just a reminder to please fill out those meeting evaluation surveys. They will be coming to you from our VOC chair, Robert Mitchell. You will also be receiving your RU cert with that email with the survey. So in our upcoming 2024 program schedule, the ASQ Phoenix Senior Leadership Team is striving to provide you with 12 hybrid meetings. We're considering the Zoom meetings, the hybrid meetings. So 12 Zoom meetings, and then 1 tour, which I spoke about earlier. We're going to do a winery this year, and this, of course, will be in person only. And then 1 community outreach event, which I will start planning here soon, either at Feed My Starving Children, Habitat for Humanity, or some other comparable nonprofit. And this one will also be in person only. Coming up on September 12th, 2024, we will be having Dr. Brian Dodson present The Frugal Experimenter. And this presentation is actually going to be on experimental design. So again, we were listening to you. Someone had mentioned in the survey recently that they wanted a program on experimental design, and this will be that program. He's actually going to look at cycle times and how to, or not cycle times. He's going to look at how to reduce the number of trials in experimental design. So you can look forward to that next month. Right, you can connect with the Phoenix section on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you are looking for things to do within the Phoenix section or trying to find information out about our next program meeting, this is another place you can do it, as well as My ASQ. Are there any final thoughts, comments, or questions before we leave you this evening? All right, well, I will take the sound of crickets as there being none. Well, thank you all for joining the meeting tonight. We really appreciate your attendance, and until we see you next, be safe and stay healthy. And we hope you'll join us again next month for our program on experimental design. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.